Well, good morning. My name is Tina Miller. I am a park ranger at Homestead National Monument of America. I am located in Beatrice, Nebraska. Normally I do this distance learning session with only one classroom at a time, and today we have several that are just watching, so we can't talk to them, but we also have 3, 6, 8 of you that can actually talk to me. So we're going to run things just a little bit different today because I do want to hear you guys' answers for different things. I think it makes it more fun for us to do that. So what I'm going to do is when we get to a certain portion of the class, I'm going to give everyone a part of the buffalo, and then I'm going to give each classroom a couple of minutes to talk about their part, and then that classroom needs to unmute themselves so that they can share it with everybody else. And I'll repeat the answers on this end just so that all the classrooms can hear the answers. I'm not sure if my microphone will transfer over between each of the sessions. Just to let you know, today we have kids from Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and North Dakota, and then we might have more join us that just watch the actual presentation. So let me tell you a little bit about Homestead. I'm going to switch over to a computer PowerPoint right now, and we're going to do a program called Follow the Buffalo. And the reason that we do this program is because Homestead National Monument of America is dedicated to the Homestead Act of 1862. And if you guys know this, the 16th president, who was Abraham Lincoln, signed that act on May 20th, and on January 1st, 1863, if you had $18, you could get 160 acres of land. So what I need you to think about is how much money do you have saved up, maybe from doing your chores and all kinds of things? 1 second. Did you really need me? Okay. Let me dial in one more school. I'm sorry, we had a connection here that didn't get dialed in. But on January, like I said, January 1st, 1863, you could get 160 acres of land for just $18. Now, what that meant is that people from Europe and all over the country, the United States, they moved west. And so when they moved west, they came out and they homesteaded out here. I'm not able to find the school that I need. Well, we'll just have to go on without them. So that is why the Homestead Act was so important, because all of these people moved across the United States. 270 million acres of land were given away under the Homestead Act. That's roughly the size of Texas and California put together. And what that did was when they homesteaded and they moved west, they obviously weren't the first people here. The Native Americans were here first. So we talk a lot about the First Plains people. And I'm sure a lot of you have studied the Native Americans and all the different Native American tribes, especially in your area. We had 7 of them in Nebraska, but we have a lot of them in other areas as well. We talk about all the different things that they had, how they traveled, how they hunted and things like that. We also have the first known historic tribe was the Pawnee. And you can see that picture there. That's an Earth Lodge. There were several Earth Lodge tribes that you could that built these lodges. You can see the list there. And they also grew things like corn and squash and beans. So if you think about in your garden, all the different things that you grow, those are things that Native Americans would have grown during their time as well. Now, the reason that we talk about the buffalo and the buffalo being their grocery store, is because it really was their grocery store. You know, they didn't have a Hy-Vee or a Walmart that they could go to. You know, they lived in these Earth Lodges that held, you know, big family groups, and then they would venture out from their teepees for these bison hunts. We did have some warrior societies. They were the Lakota, Sioux, the Cheyenne, you know, names that you've probably heard in all of your textbooks. And then this map, it might not show up very good on your screen, but this kind of shows where the tribes were. Now let's talk a little bit about the buffalo and how they hunted the buffalo. because we're not to the point where I can switch over to all the groups yet, I will just tell you, many of you have probably read stories where they might start fires to get them to stampede and run off of cliffs. They hunted them that way. They also might have taken wolfskins and put them over their heads and then snuck up on them and killed them with their spears. And then, of course, they would have naturally hunted them off horseback with their bows and arrows. Later on, they did trade for rifles, but they didn't hunt them that way to begin with. Going back, after they hunted, how did they get the hide off the buffalo? I'm going to show you my buffalo hide. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. And I'm going to take my bone, and I'm going to show you, this is an actual buffalo hide. Now, this buffalo, it was a female buffalo, and she was about 700 pounds. And you can see that she's got this tail back here and all these really long pieces. They would take and they would cut the hide around the neck, and then they would take this bone and they would scrape it off of the hide. And they would keep scraping till they got it off. And then, I don't know if you can see it on this piece, but they would either stake it out on the ground or they would hang it on a drying rack. And that's how they would get their buffalo hide. They would take it off, and then they would use a mixture of the brain, and they would rub it into the hide. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Buffalo grocery store right now, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch over to this camera, and then if someone could be close to the microphone right now to let me know, yes, you're there, and that you understand the part of the buffalo that your group is going to be talking about, because basically what I'm going to do is, the first person that I have on my list is Burlington Elementary. And I am going to give you the horn. Is there anyone there from Burlington?
Yes, we're here.
Great. If you guys could take a couple minutes. Oh, there, now I can see you. Take a couple minutes, and first I'm going to assign everybody all the parts, and then we're going to go back to each school and talk about their parts. So Burlington, you have the horn. And what I want you to do is think about all of the things that they could have used, the Native Americans could have used the horn for. And then we'll come back to you. The next one that I have Holy Family. I know you're there. I saw you. I want you to think about this really hard piece of hide that I have. Someone needs to take themselves off mute or put themselves back on mute, please.